What's going on, man? I'm so excited for this conversation today. We've got another conversation about the conference that we got coming up in January 4th. If you guys did not go back and listen to my conversation with Dennis Knight, you have got to go back and check out that conversation. It was so good. It was so edifying. I'm so excited for him to be there at the conference. Today, I have another speaker, and he's no stranger to the podcast. He's been on here a couple of times, and he has become a great friend of mine, and so I cannot wait for you guys to hear this conversation with me and Jeff Krumm. Let's get started on Real Men Talk.
Welcome to Real Men Talk, discussing the tough issues facing men and their families every day. Here's Anthony Krumm.
Welcome back to the podcast, buddy. How are you?
What's up, Anthony? How you doing, brother? Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. How you doing?
Wonderful. So, listeners, I've got to give you guys a little heads up. I got to give Jeff some kudos here. This conference that we've been talking about, that we were talking about, I have a lot of really lavish ideas, right? And sometimes, sometimes you're like, God, that doesn't work. And I come to Jeff and I was like, man, I had this idea about this conference. And he goes, let's do it. And so I'm going to be real honest with you. Part of the reason why this conference is even happening is because of this man right here. And so I'm excited for this conversation today. He has become such a good friend, such an encouragement in my life and in my ministry. And so you guys are in for a treat, man. This is a Class A guy. Jeff Krumm is one of a kind. He's native to St. Louis, and he's going to be there, and he's going to be speaking at the conference. Don't forget, January 4th, Real Men Discipleship Conference, and so, man, I am so excited. Jeff, man, how you doing?
Anthony, I am blessed, brother. You know what I say. I am prayerful. I am productive. I am excited to be here, man. That is such a phenomenal introduction. Love this man. Love Anthony Krumm, man. Just love your heart. Love for what you're doing with men. And I just want to say, yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm so excited to see this conference coming to be. And you're right. You've got these crazy God-sized, ideas and visions that I know that you want to live out. And this wouldn't be happening without your heart and your obedience, just to be giving this over to God. And just, what a pleasure and what a treat to be on here talking with you today and just sharing Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I really do. And it is definitely a treat to, I was telling Dennis in our last conversation, I pride myself in the people I surround myself with. I intentionally surround myself with kingdom-minded people. And Jeff, that explains you to a T. Jeff Krumm is kingdom minded, and if you don't know, if you've never listened to Jeff on any of the other podcasts, you want to talk about kingdom minded. If you can tell somebody that you jump out of planes for Jesus, I don't know how much more kingdom minded you could be. But this is Jeff Krumm, dude. I mean, he's like a real life Jesus freak action star, and I love it, man. It is phenomenal. So Jeff, you jump out of planes for Jesus. Just tell people just a little bit, and that's just a little bit of what you just tell the listeners a little bit. If they've never heard you before, just kind of introduce yourself and what your ministries.
I'm gonna share a little bit about that, man. But yeah, dude, that should be a t-shirt, man. Like Jesus freak, like action hero or something like that, man. That should be on our shirt, So. So those that have never heard about my mission and ministry and what I'm doing. So my name, Jeff Krumm, native to the St. Louis area, blessed to have a kingdom-minded friend, Anthony Krumm. So how this all got started for me, I'm the founder of an outreach youth and young adult ministry. So we're one ministry with different expressions. One of those expressions is going to be Leap of Faith. So over here at Leap of Faith, we say that faith is action. It's not just a feeling, it's a function, right? So faith is a gift that we're given from God, but it's really only fully received and acted upon when we put action into our faith. So we really preach that faith is just belief with legs on it, right? That's it. I can tell you I believe something all day long. I can tell you I want to do something all day long, but till I actually act on it, I haven't shown faith. And so we're reaching youth and young adults here in St. Louis, and then in cities and states across the country. We've got relationships in many states, Texas, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Florida, to name a few. And some of the events that we do where we're reaching youth and young adults where they're at is skydiving. So we do a lot with the skydiving community down in Dallas. And people go, Jeff, what does skydiving have to do with Jesus? Are you just an adrenaline junkie? What are you doing jumping out of planes for? You got a death wish? And no, and it has nothing to do with that. To us, the object lesson, again, just for that expression of skydiving, is that we're all sitting in the same plane of life, and eventually that plane's going to run out. You're going to end up in one of two places when that plane runs out of gas, and everybody's plane's eventually going to run out. We're going to lose altitude, and that's going to be it. So you can stay on that plane and you can just be successful by the world standards and just get by. But if you feel like God's calling you out to do something bigger, if you feel like God's calling you out to do something else, I tell people it's not because you're afraid of heights. That's not because you are afraid of your chute not opening, these different things that you're scared. It's the same reason why you don't do a lot of things in life. That's the same reason why you don't give your life over to Christ. Because once you've made that last step, once you take that commitment, once you go out the door, there's no going back. And so that's it. That's it in a nutshell. So we do a lot of different activities and events. That's my camera turning purple. So just ignore that if anybody's watching this on video. If you're just listening, we do, again, the skydiving events, but it's not about the adrenaline. It's about meeting youth and young adults where they're at. People get encouraged to come out, witness, see something, do something they've never been a part of before. And that just breaks down barriers. You're able to talk to people. People get to know you as a person. You're participating in an activity together. And then in building that relationship, that's then when you can bridge and have those conversations, and you can be a witness and you can share your testimony of Christ and what he's done in your life. So that in a nutshell is leap of faith. We're doing skydiving, we're doing skiing, snowboarding, paintball, but we do a lot of other stuff too, like workshops, where we get in there, we talk to kids about like laughter and the power of laughter, getting over your fear of public speaking. All of it is about just taking those action steps of faith. And it's going to look different for different people.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love that, the faith of action. I've always loved that concept. I was listening to a podcast by Javen Chavez, and he was talking to this guy, and I can't remember who it was now, but he was telling the story about, he was skydiving, and he said he was up there with three other guys. He's got an instructor strapped to him, whatever, and the first guy jumps out of the plane, and the first set jumps out of the plane, the second set jumps out of the plane, and he said his instructor started kind of moving him towards the door, and he could tell that he was very reluctant. He thought to himself, he's like, I'm getting ready to jump out of a perfectly good plane. He's like, what is wrong with me? And he said that the instructor reached over and said the most profound thing. He said, sometimes you just have to do things scared.
Yeah.
And that's faith in action, right? Anything,
that's it right there.
Something that I have learned, anything that God calls you to do is going to be terrifying, right? Yeah. Because it's going to be bigger than you.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
If it's not bigger than you, then it's not. I'm a firm believer that it's not God. Right. If it's not bigger than your capabilities, then God, that's not what God's called you to do. That's not the full extent of what God's calling you to do. And so, I don't know. I don't know how that looks for everybody, but sometimes I just have to tell myself.
Yeah.
I just have to do it scared. Right. My God is bigger than my possibility of failure.
Right.
and so you've got Leap of Faith. You do Leap of Faith, and which is really awesome. But you have another ministry that I absolutely love. I adore this ministry. It is so simple and but it is so powerful and potent. And so tell everybody about Peanut Butter and Jesus.
Right. So as I was moving down this train track of Leap of Faith and what that looks like and how we're reaching youth and young adults, I can only describe it as just this Holy Spirit, just lightning bolt, just hitting me one day to create this ministry of Peanut Butter and Jesus. And that simply was the idea that sharing the gospel should be as simple as making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Part of the big thing, even with Leap of Faith, is that we say, like, we're street level Christians. We meet you where you're at. We're not speaking Christianese to you. We're not trying to, convert you right there on the spot and then figure out how to get you to church on Sunday and baptize you. It's like, we're just trying to meet you where you're at and keep it simple and keep it, just two people having a conversation. And so Peanut Butter and Jesus started as this expression of sharing the gospel should be as simple as making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And that got trademarked, and everything's now been turned into this other expression of our ministry where, we're calling it spreading the word. And we're starting to get into schools. We just got into our first grade school just yesterday. Well, our action committee chairman, Zach Scowen, he was able to get into a school. His daughter goes there. We have a Peanut Butter and Jesus kids book written at a third grade level. And so his daughter loves the book. He talked to the teacher, and the teacher said, I love what you're doing. This sounds cool. Why don't you come into my school and why don't you read this book to all the kids? So we just got an opportunity to share this simple, gospel message, where we talk about how peanut butter and Jesus and the experiential learning is, in the beginning, we're creating God's image. That's the bread slices, but we got separated. What was separated us? Sin. That's the peanut butter. You can't remove the peanut butter in your own strength. You ever put peanut butter on a slice of bread, take it off? What happens to that bread? It gets all torn apart, right? It's stuck. And so you need a solution. You need jam, you need jelly, you need Jesus. And now you're back together. Now you're a peanut butter and Jesus sandwich. God sees us. He doesn't see a sin. He sees our son. So that's it. So just that super simple object lesson of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We just got into our first grade school, like I said yesterday, super pumped. We've got some high schools talking to us about delivering food and bringing that to them on a regular basis. Just partnered up with Panera Bread. But, I think I'm the most excited about what we were able to do a few months ago down in Florida. Anthony, I know I shared a lot of this with you, and we're just looking for more ways to do it up here in St. Louis and other cities and states, looking for sponsors, looking for people to get behind us. But we went down to Florida. That was back in March, and we did PBJ on the beach and made 500 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in about 24 hours. So I learned how to do that and how not to do that, right? So that was a very tiring and lesson-filled 24 hours. But long story short, we saw over 30 people come to Christ. We saw this organization take our sandwiches, go into these parks, go into these places with drug dealers and pimps and gang members and prostitutes, and they had guns and weapons pulled on them. Like, who are you? What are you doing in this park? You don't belong here. And they said, well, like, we have peanut butter and Jesus sandwiches. And instantly these people are smiling, and instantly these people are laughing, going, what? Peanut butter and Jesus? What's that? And they helped bring over 30 people to Christ, and got a huge portion of those people off the streets and into programs simply by going in and sharing the gospel. But the people that I talked to, they said they felt like, some of them have never done stuff like that before. We saw teenagers witnessing to people on the beach, praying with people on the beach, and people said, we've never done that. We've never done that. We've never witnessed it before, never shared before, but we didn't feel like we were necessarily doing that. We felt like we're just sharing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's it. Right. So that's another one of our expressions is the peanut butter and Jesus. And like Leap of Faith, We want to take that all over the country. So those two expressions can stand on their own, but almost every time we do a Leap of Faith event, we're going to have our peanut butter and Jesus themed food items and stuff there as well. So, but yeah, that's peanut butter and Jesus. It's exciting. It's humbling. It's what I've been sharing with people, Anthony. Where people say, "What do you do?" And I would joke and I would laugh and I say, "Well, I jump out of planes for Jesus and I make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches." Somebody like myself who, former first responder, former financial planner, I do creative business development and coaching and work with all these amazing entrepreneurs now. And they go, "Well, what do you do for a living?" Like, I jump out of planes and I sell peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But I feel now a better way of describing what I do is I show people that when you take a little bit of faith and you add a little bit of action, God takes something as simple as a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and it can change the world.
That's right.
So I don't know. So that's really what I tell people I do now is I'm setting people free and I'm just letting people know, it doesn't matter what your circumstances are. It doesn't matter what you have going on. You've got that little bit of faith in there. You've got that little bit of action and you've got that little bit of fill in the blank that God wants to use and he wants to use it big. We just have to have the faith to step out and do it.
Man, that's phenomenal. It's one of my favorite ministries I've ever encountered. I remember when you first come to me with this concept and I was like,
yeah,
this is genius. Like why has nobody ever thought of this before? Like this is so awesome, and
so I like to think other people thought of it. I think it's are you willing? Because people, it's fun talking with people like yourself, Anthony, that you get to talk to. You get to know me as a person. You understand that there's a lot of thought and there's a lot of business development that goes into this. We treat this ministry and not-for-profit as a business. So this isn't just some silly, half-hearted, crazy guy that's like, "Oh, I just make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches," and I think that's what has held people back. I promise you, there are people that have had these thoughts before, right? I think what it is people haven't had that courage or that strength to step out and do it. Because I get the scoffers. I get people that go, "Oh, it must be nice to just go down to Florida and make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches." Like, "Oh, that must be nice to just do that," but they don't know. That all the money that you spend on attorneys and creating boards and the legalities and the money to go down, like there's so much that goes into it. But anyway, it's a blessing to have this opportunity. It's a leap of faith. That's what it is. Yeah,
and it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So let's segue this into the conference. So January 4th, we have Real Men Discipleship Conference up in Sunset Hills. The Holiday Inn there, and we've got some phenomenal guys coming in. I'm so excited. Everybody, it amazes me. It amazes me the caliber of men such as yourself, Jeff, that have stepped up and was like, "Yeah, I want to do this." Like I see a need for men to have discipleship. To have purpose, to be equipped, and I want to be a part of that. And man, we've got some phenomenal people, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait to do podcasts with all of them, and we will. They're coming, But with the conference coming up, I guess really I want you to just kind of explain to the listeners how excited you are about the conference and kind of what your heart is about reaching men and discipling men there.
Well, first off, I second that. It just humbles me, and for lack of a better vernacular, it blows my mind to sometimes sit back and think about being invited to be a part of this conference with Anthony, with Christian, with everybody coming out to speak. Just what a powerhouse of just men of God that are going to be present there on January 4th. It's going to be incredible, out there and I say out there down the road for me, Sunset Hills. But I'm excited because, Anthony and I, you and I, we've had a lot of conversations about this, and my ministry has always been primarily focused on, youth and young adults, so we're working with boys, with girls, with young men, young women. But, what I'm really the most excited about when I think about this conference, and this is in part because of a lot of the conversations, Anthony, you and I have had, and your heart for this, and that is, really teaching men and showing men how to be men at the end of the day. All of these conversations, my board is made up primarily of women. I don't know what that says about me. I don't know if that's because I grew up with 3 sisters, and no brothers. So I don't know what that says, that primarily a lot of the women that we have in or a lot of the people in my organization leadership roles are women. But, it's just, I have a lot of the conversations with these women, and a lot of times there's these conversations about, I wish my husband would step up to be the spiritual leader in the household. How do I show my husband how to be the spiritual leader in the household? And, that's what I'm excited about, is to have these men hear from Anthony. I'm excited to impart my wisdom and what I've learned about what it means to be a man, what it looks like to step out, to have purpose, to encourage people, what that looks like, to have outreach and to share what we believe. But I also want to say this too, and not to put you on the spot, but as much as I know that this is a ministry for men, and we're encouraging all these men to come out with us on January 4th, I'm equally as excited too for the women that are going to hear about this, the women that are going to get to watch this afterwards, the women that are going to be impacted by their husbands, by their boyfriends, by their brothers, by their fathers, colleagues. Because I think there's just as many women that are out there going like, well, what does it look like for my man to be a man? How can I encourage him to be a man if I don't even know what that looks like either? So I'm really excited for the most part for guys to really get a grasp of what does it mean to be a man, biblically speaking, in light of what we're being told in today's society.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you brought that up. That's a phenomenal point, because doing men's ministry and the podcast and all that stuff, I have had more response from women than I have from men.
That's right.
And I see the same thing. I see the same thing. How do I get my husband interested in church? How do I get my husband involved? Hey, I'm going to share this with my husband. He needs something like this. I want him to be a godly man. I want him to be, and it's one of those things. We live in a culture where men don't know how to be men, right? They don't know. Right. I was telling Dennis, the men in this age have an identity problem, and the problem is we are trying to find our identity in who the world says we are. And the world has no idea. When we have a creator who defines us clearly and has purpose for us. And I know I just said this in the last conversation, but it bears saying again. It blows my mind. It blows my mind to think that the God of the universe placed me, Anthony Krumm, right here at this time on purpose.
Yeah, on purpose, right? With a purpose.
And as men, we lose sight of that, right? Which is why I love your ministries and why I think it's vital for you to have this opportunity to be there. Because, yes, I know that leap of faith and Peanut Butter Jesus typically is more associated with like the teens, the young adults, stuff like that. But it's effective across the board. Yeah, we have to understand that we have purpose. And what I love about those ministries like yours is it gives people purpose. Outreach, evangelism gives men purpose. Right? Okay, so one of the biggest things that I have with men is how do I get involved? I don't sing, I don't preach, I don't teach. How do I get involved? You can make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You can tell some kid that about Jesus, right? You can show love to anybody, right?
Right.
You can, all these things. Like it's not going to be complicated. It is so simple.
Right. It's not hard. That's not hard. It's simple. Not. I just had this conversation today. I told a dear friend of mine, she has a boyfriend who is a little bit rough around the edges, is coming to have that relationship with Christ. And I told her, I said, you know what? I'm so excited for you. And I'm so excited for your boyfriend that he's wanting to have this relationship with Christ. And yeah, there's some struggles right now. But I think what happens as men, and I'm sure women too, but what happens as men is the more you get involved in those communities, the more you get involved in those events, you're going to see other men, you're going to see other people around you that are dealing with something that you went through. You're going to see yourself in these younger men. You're going to see yourself in these other men and these other relationships, and you're going to get an opportunity just to come around them and say, hey, I've been there. I've done that. I've experienced that. This is what I learned, and not saying that you need to become this mentor that hangs out with this person all the time. It would be great. It'd be great to get a mentor, it'd be great to be a Paul to a Timothy, right? That's even right. Like that. And there's programs out there called, Operation Paul and Timothy, but yeah, no, there's a lot of women, like we just said, there's a lot of women that they just don't know. I think society and women don't even know like what it means to be a man. I think that's part of it too. If not to go on a different direction, but I think part of it is too, as a man, I can tell you that I've always felt pressure, especially in my 20s and 30s. Like I've always felt pressure as a man to try to live up to what men are supposed to look like, like the John Waynes and things like that. And you're supposed to be aloof. You're supposed to be like John Wayne, James Bond, and like Batman all rolled into one. Maybe some Arnold Schwarzenegger thrown in there, be strong, be tough, don't talk, don't show your emotions, be aloof. You ever show a woman that you're interested in her, she's going to run away because you got to somehow mess with their mind in order to get a woman to want to pursue you and be in a relationship. And it's like, that's the kind of stuff that you're being taught. And to an extent, I think that's even what society is teaching women, like you need to look for these types of men, look for these men that act these ways. Men, you need to act these ways if you want to ever be in a relationship with a woman. So there's all this pressure, I think, on both sides of, this is what you're supposed to look like and act like as a man. Women, this is what you're supposed to look for when you're looking for a man, and that's broken. What you're looking for is brokenness. What you're looking for is somebody that's unable to handle and process emotion and things in a healthy way, and so women are being taught to look for broken men. Men are being taught to be broken, and then we wonder why marriages and relationships are broken. We're not being taught, find that man that's emotionally healthy, find that man that has a relationship with Jesus, find that man that practices meekness, which is simply power under control, and so, yeah, I'm hoping that can come out in this conference, is that men will hear what it looks like to be a man. But then what I love about it is they're not just going to hear what it looks like to be a man, but they're also going to be given these actionable steps, these ways that they can actually practice that and then bring that back, to their congregation, to their friends, to their family, to their spouses, to say like, this is who I am. This is what it means to be a man. And I'll call it out right now. I'll say for most guys, like, why are women coming up and talking about it more? Because the women want to see their men go through it. But men don't want to have to do it because it's hard. It's hard.
That's right.
It's not going to be an easy conference. It's not. I mean, it's going to be hard. It's going to be in your face. It's going to challenge you on some stuff. You're not alone. You're going to get the resources and the tool, and you're going to have a community and accountability to go and do those things. But yeah, it's going to be an in your face. This is the reality, and this is what it looks like to be a man. and you're going to take that back. And you know what? You're going to get some pushback. That's okay.
That's right.
Because you're going to have to make some changes.
Yep.
Yeah, myself included. So.
And so it's exciting. I'm excited to see what God's going to do through this conference. And Jeff,
He's going to do some awesome things.
Yes, this has been such a wonderful conversation, and man, we could go on for hours. And
we have in the past,
but I need to land this plane, and so Jeff, just kind of tell everybody real quick where they can connect with you and what you do.
Yep. Yeah. So if you want to connect with us, you can check us out. We've got a couple websites. We're on both social media platforms. So if you look up leapoffaithministry.org, leapoffaithministry.org, you can also find us at pbandjesus.love. So that's PB and spelled out Jesus.love. So that's our peanut butter and Jesus expression of our ministry. But you can connect with us there. What we're doing now and where we're really wanting to get help and support is getting into these schools. We're looking for local businesses, sponsors that want to get behind us. We're being asked more and more, can we do these pop-up PBJ buffet events where we're going into businesses, going into parking lots, setting up our tent, and we're giving away coloring books, stickers. We actually have a PBJ Leap of Faith coloring book that's really popular. So we're looking for businesses and places around the St. Louis area to set up our tent. We're looking for schools to get involved with, to give our resources. And we're looking for people to come out to our Leap of Faith events here in St. Louis. But then we're also looking for other cities and states to come out and to work with you. And I want to say this. I know sometimes when people hear, and you may be somebody listening to this now going, I'm a pastor, I have my own church, I have my own youth. That's great. Those are people we want to work with, because what we do as a program is anything that we do, we invite you to come out and be a part of it. We invite the community, and we look at ourselves as an added value, because anything we do, we want people to go to their local church. So anything we do, we say, go to your local church, go to your local pastor. So we're not out here trying to tell people not to go to church on Sundays. We're telling people go to church on Sundays, but the people that aren't ready to go to a church or a building on a Sunday, come on out, be a part of some community, and then we're going to encourage you to go get plugged in. So
that's right. Phenomenal. And guys, so as far as the conference, listen, website will be realmendiscipleshipconference.com. Right now we are set to drop September 23rd. I don't know when this will drop, but you'll be able to buy tickets. We're looking for donors, all that good stuff on there. And so everything that will be about the conference, if you want to know more about the speakers, all that good jazz, it'll all be there on the conference or on the website. And so be looking for that, guys. I'm super excited. Jeff, thank you so much for your willingness and your heart for the kingdom and to be a part of this. And so guys, if you have any questions, you can email us, realmen@palacepraise.com. You can contact us on social media, all that good jazz. And so as always, I want to end in a prayer. Holy Spirit, teach us to be leaders of our homes, of our communities, and of our churches. Teach us to be godly, courageous men. In Jesus' name, amen.
You've been listening to Real Men Talk. If you'd like to get in touch with us, shoot us an email, realmen@palaceofpraise.com, or visit our website at realmenministries.us. You can also message us through social media. If you're a man age 16 and up and would like to be a part of the conversation, join us at the Palace of Praise every Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. If you don't have a home church, consider joining us for worship on Sundays at 10:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. Palace of Praise is located at 1400 Herschel Best Boulevard in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. New episodes of Real Men Talk drop every Thursday at 5 p.m. on all major podcast platforms. You can also find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, X, and Facebook. Real Men Talk is a production of Real Men Studios in cooperation with Palace Media Services.